Hello everybody, this is your student Facebook meteorologist Sean Bagden here, and we're going to be going over the Day 5 forecast for the Weather Challenge Forecast City, Grand Rapids, Michigan for Tuesday, October 6th. First off, we're going to start off looking back at Day 4 and looking at how we did. Verification was 52 degrees for the high, 36 degrees for the low, 12 knots in wind, and 0 inches of precipitation. That put us in 1 point of error for that, just due to the low temperature dropping 1 degree below what we thought it would for about a 5-minute period there in the morning. So now we're going to start looking at the large-scale picture for tomorrow. Looking at current satellite imagery, we can see that dry air has been in the area of Grand Rapids, Michigan, all day today pretty much, leading to a cloudless sky for the most part today due to southerly flow keeping the Great Michigan Lake Michigan moisture out of the area. That's going to change this evening, though, as this area of low pressure to the north is going to be dropping a cold front through the region, as we can see here, with this area of increased moisture currently moving through Minnesota, almost moving into Wisconsin at this time. We can clearly see this on SPC mesoanalysis, looking at our observed METARs right here. You see dew points out ahead of this surface front are in the mid-30s or so, some areas in the upper 30s, but then once you get under this surface frontal feature, dew points do spike up into the low to mid 40s here before dropping back down behind it, even into the low 30s to upper 20s in some areas. So this frontal boundary will likely be approaching and arriving at the area sometime around sunrise tomorrow, and that is going to have big implications on what our low temperature will be tonight. So likely, looking at this, we'll be seeing lows right around the dew points that we're seeing back along this front here. So probably looking at a low for our forecast in the around the 44 to 45 range if we just go off these dew points. But obviously, this air mass could dry out a little bit as it runs into this pocket of drier air out in front of it. So maybe a little closer to 42 or 43. We'll look closer into this possibility as we go into models, as we will have relatively clear skies in place as this front does pass. There's not much in the way with upper level moisture to it, just a big pocket of low level moisture, which will help lows to not drop as far as they normally would under these clear skies tonight. So also looking past this cold front, during the day tomorrow, we see that dry air does come back in place behind this boundary and likely will intensify, given that there's this advection of very dry air coming in behind this. Looks like on a 850 millibar jet streak dropping south out of Canada here, just injecting dry air in behind this boundary. So expecting a relatively sunny day through the day tomorrow, although we may see low-level clouds lingering around early in the day due to that northwesterly flow expected behind this cold front, which could limit high temperatures a little bit, as we could see some lake effect cloudiness due to that. So now going over to the models. I don't have models up. Hold on. Here we go. There it is. Now we have our models. We're going to head over to the NAM nest right now. This is the 18Z NAM. We're going to go over to KGRR, which is Grand Rapids METAR station right here, and we're going to compare with our current conditions. So we're going to compare it with the 21Z observation out of the sounding area right here. Hold on, everybody. We're a little disorganized this afternoon. There we go. 21Z, we had 59 degrees temperature, 39 degrees dew point. So 59, 39. And here, temperature's a little lower, dew point's a little higher. So we can expect temperatures to be, I'd say, about a degree lower than what we see here. That is what I would expect, just given, at least for a low temperature. High temperature, we're probably gonna go a little on the higher side. Also, this cloud layer that's shown here is likely leading to less cooling than expected due to there being a good amount of moisture, not much moisture, in place aloft at this point in time, as shown by little cloud cover in place across the region. So, that is why we're expecting temperatures to get a little colder tonight than expected in this model run by maybe a degree or two, especially if we don't see this dew point rise. We may actually even go a little bit higher than this is anticipating right now. And there we go. We do see that dew point staying pretty steady through the nighttime hours, which is very interesting. I would expect it to increase a little bit more than this. We have temperatures bottoming out around 46, which does seem reasonable, given what we were seeing. I may go down to as low as 45 there. So we'll keep 45 in mind. We're gonna pull up our sticky note right here. Here's our sticky note. So we can write a little note on it to tell us that we're thinking 45 degrees is our reasonable low temperature for tomorrow. We'll confirm this with the HER model, as that shows us more of an hourly assumption of what's going to be going on here. We're going to continue on into the evening hours tomorrow just to see if our low temperature does not get any lower due to the fact that we're expecting cold air advection through the night tomorrow night. And it does not look like we are going to be going below 45 degrees tomorrow night in any stretch of the imagination. Actually, looks like some warm air advection in place with that veered wind profile in the low levels there, clearly shown by that warm nose coming in aloft here. So 45 degrees seems pretty reasonable after looking at the NAM. Looking at the HER, we're going to go and see if it also seems reasonable on there. We're going to start at 21Z yet again, just to make sure that that is all right. KGRR. Okay, and here we go, 59. Okay, this one's more spot on. Again, we'll probably go about a degree higher than forecast just because it is mixing out dew points, which the HRR does a very good job of doing. It has a bias of really mixing out those dew points, so definitely due to that, we'll go a little higher on the low temperature than the HRR will be going by about a degree or two. And look at that, it keeps our dew points very low through the night tonight. Not surprising given the history the HRR has with that over-mixing of the dew points. Like, look how much drier aloft this air mass is, according to the HRR. And it looks like it is also in pretty good agreement with dropping temperatures down into the mid-40s by sunrise here. Although it does not get that cold, which is kind of interesting. It's very odd that it does this. It only brings it down to, what? It dropped it down to as low as 47? That is very interesting. It's not surprising. I'll show you guys something here real quick. Due to the fact that we are on the western edge of this area of high pressure, bringing in those higher heights aloft. We have positive height advection right here, which could lead to those warmer temperatures. Let me have a look at something real quick. I could see these low temperatures only. That seems really high though. This could actually be kind of tricky here. Let's go over to tropical tidbits really quickly. And we will look at some WRF models here. And they will give us a little bit better of an idea of what's going on, because it looks like we have a split in what we are looking at. Well, I guess this one's not going to work too well for us. Let's try this. Okay. Oh, well, I guess we're not going to be doing that today. Maybe the icon will do us better. Nope, can't get a sounding there. Well, this is not working out too well, is it, for us? Hold on, everybody. Maybe we'll start off with the CMC here. No, CMC is also not working. Okay, let's have, maybe the WRF will work on here. Let's have a look. Yeah, WRF works on here. We'll do it here. KGRR. Okay, so this is 21Z, has it 57 and 35. So we'll increase our low temperature by about 2 degrees here, because it is off by, it is significantly lower on the dew point and the temperature. So we'll increase what it has for the low by about 2 degrees here, and see if we have consistency with that shot at the 48 degree range, and boom, there we go, down to 46. 46, that would confirm that thinking of 48. Wow, 44. This seems like it's going way too low here. Way too low. 46 does seem reasonable, given what I'm seeing here. It goes down to 44. Okay, so 46 wouldn't be too bad of a call. Looking at this, especially given that warm air advection, as we can see here by those veered winds. I could see 46 occurring. Definitely a possibility. We'll have to look into some more models here just to confirm this thinking. We'll head over to the NSSL H-Wharf. KGRR. Okay, here we go. This is 21Z and 59. Okay, so this is actually pretty accurate right here in terms of our temperatures. See if this drops us down to around the 46 degree range. And it looks like it will here. And it looks like it's going to stay hovering around 46 degrees, given that warm air advection at the surface yet again. Definitely thinking 45 or 46 or so will be a good low temperature to go with tonight. It looks like we're starting to get that consistency here with that low temperature for this period here, especially given that low-level warm air advection setting in at the surface here. Yep, and then it drops down to 45. But I think 46 is going to be pretty reasonable. It gets both of those scenarios with the 45 and the 47. Not many models going much higher or lower than that. So 46 definitely seems like a good way to go. 45 you could get burned on by about 2 points, but 46 does look reasonable. Also, due to the fact, we'll go back to the NAM here really quick. There it is. And we're gonna head into the daytime hours tomorrow just to show you our thinking here about precipitation. But due to that passing of the cold front and that very dry air aloft and at the surface behind it, I don't think we're going to be seeing much in the way of precipitation tomorrow. Due to that, you can see we do have that surface cloudiness, it appears, but then aloft, you really start to dry out through the column. And this is even in the morning, and I'd assume in the afternoon you really start to dry out after this cloud layer starts to erode. Actually, that starts to hang tough. You may have that low-level stratus deck really hanging on and not burning off till the afternoon. And there you go. It finally burns off as dry air gets entrained down into that area there by the afternoon. Also doesn't look like too much of a windy day tomorrow, which is definitely a good thing. We'll have to look at that a little later on. And let's see if warm air advection warms it up in the evening. Yes, it does. We're going to have to closely watch that warm air advection, and it looks like we start getting moistened up with the potential for rainfall in right at the end of the period here. You start getting those negative omega values developing here, but it still looks dry enough here that we won't see any rain. So I think we're going to be going 0 inches for rainfall here tomorrow. High temperature could get a little interesting here, just given the fact that we do have that chance of that northwesterly flow and lake effect clouds in place, and also you get that warm air advection with that potential frontal passage in the late part of the period here. You could see your daytime high right around 2 a.m. on the day on Wednesday here, so definitely something to watch out for. 59 degrees it says at that time, with an afternoon high, okay, around 62. That's interesting. 62. Going with what I know here and the tendency for models to underperform on the high, I would trend higher on this and go more in the range of 64 degrees Also because the NAM was a little bit on the moist side, I believe. Let me go back and check that real quick. Yep, okay, NAM was on the dry side. It was a little bit lower of a temperature. Okay, so maybe going 63 degrees given that, but we will look at other models just to confirm this. We'll make a note of that 64 degree high, but given those lake effect clouds and that frontal passage, that is interesting. Could lower our high temperature, but given the dry air mass that's going to be in place, warming is definitely a possibility, and being on the warm air advection side of that high pressure system. This is the HER output right here. Is this, we want the 18Z HER. There we go. Okay. Oh, let's go back to 3Z again, 15. Okay. So 1 degree. Okay. 1 degree higher, right? Yeah. 1 degree, or 1 degree lower than it says here is generally what we would go with. And then add 2 to that, probably 1 degree higher on the high here, just because it always seems that the models are about 2 degrees off on this. So we're going to add a degree onto the high, just given that it's about a degree off on the current temperature here. Not sure if that makes sense, but we'll go with that and hope it does. Let's see if this brings it up to 63. If it does, we're definitely going to hang on to that forecast of a high of 64 here. That is for sure. And it looks like we may be able to do that. Here we go, all the way up to 62 degrees. Wow, this really cranks it up to 64, 66. Wow, this definitely gets warm under these sunny skies here, up to 67 degrees. That is interesting. Huh. Given the warm air advection that we're seeing aloft, I would not be surprised at all to see that go up to 67 degrees, that's for sure. Especially given that dry air that will be in place, and I think we see our dew points lower than 50 degrees through the day tomorrow, because there's nothing that's showing us getting that high in terms of dew points. We'll go over to the H wharf here really quick, just to make, because it looks like we have two camps developing here, a very warm temperature camp, a very low temperature camp. So we have a high of 64 and a potential high of 68 degrees here. Again, this one is pretty accurate in terms of which one was the accurate one in terms of temperature here? I believe it was the NSSL one. I believe it was KGRR, and it was 59 and 39, I believe, currently. And yes, this is the accurate one. That is right on point with what we're looking for here. Okay, here we go. We're into the morning hours tomorrow. This is right around sunrise, 5 a.m. right here. We're starting to bottom out, 45 degrees, wonderful. And as temperatures start to rise, we'll see if we get that lake effect cloud cover. NAM did show that lake effect cloud cover, HER did not. That's why we had that change there. I would favor the NAM here, just given that northwesterly flow we're expected to see behind this front. And here we go. You see that lake effect cloud cover really start to set in right here. And temperatures really are not able to rise all that high. Looking at this, they go up to around 60 degrees, and then they start falling right back down to where they were originally. So that's interesting. Looks like 62 degrees would be pretty reasonable right there. Let's go to another wharf here. We'll go to the HRW and see if we see something similar with that. Here we go. We're going to load this and go through. This high temperature forecast is definitely going to be tricky because you get these cloud streets that developed, and if you're not underneath one of those cloud streets, your temperatures will rise very quickly, especially under this warm air advection regime we'll be under here. Okay, now we're getting right into the daylight hours here, around 9Z. Again, temperatures bottom out around 45, 46, 47, right in there. And we can see low level moisture does hang around. Likely some low level cloudiness. You can see here by our temperature and dew point staying pretty close together through the morning hours tomorrow, as shown by your H wharf right here. And temperatures really not rising all that fast, right up to 62. And this is right around when we expect our high temperatures to be hit. That's showing around, okay, that goes up to 64. Very interesting. Okay. We're gonna, it looks like 64 is a pretty reasonable guess right here. A lot of models hanging around that 64 number, although we will see what the high-end consensus is on Brian Tang's site here. And finally, we're going to go over a quick look at what the wind is going to look like. NAM is generally very good for our wind forecasts, so we're going to stick with the NAM for that. KGRR. Okay, here we go. We're going to go into the middle of the day tomorrow. And then we're going to check that with the more accurate H wharf. Here we go. Surface winds around 10 knots with that inversion in place. Then we get up to around 20 knots as we get towards the afternoon hour near the surface here. And then we start getting, don't really get much instability in place, which is interesting. That would not assume much in the way of wind, but I do know this is a generally windier area, so I'm going to look for some model that has a little deeper of a mixed layer here so that we can overestimate our winds. Because we do have that strong low-level flow in place behind this frontal boundary, which should lead to strong surface winds if we can get that heating in place. And we want to go high on the winds here, because this place, Grand Rapids, Michigan, does tend to be a little gustier than most places. Here we go. We're getting into the more unstable part of the day. Sun's rising, and let's whittle away at this inversion layer here. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, 10 knot surface winds. Okay, here we go. Looks like 20 knots right there. 20 knots. Okay, now it starts to deepen. You start to get up to, what is that, 25? Okay, so we'll say 22. 22 knots initially. So 22 times 0.6, which is a 60% rule, that puts us at 13.2 knots. So we'll put this right at 13 knots right here for our forecasted wind, and we will track this with Brian Tang's website here really quick. Here's Brian Tang, Weather Challenge website. He does a lot of forecast guidance right here. And here is our 2-meter temperature comparison. And as you can see, most models have this getting up to around 63, 64 degrees, and it's pretty good consistency, so I'm pretty confident with our high temperature forecast around 64 degrees. And low temperatures, what we have that at? We had it at 46, and yes, we do have that camp that drops down to about 46 degrees. I feel pretty comfortable with that. Our most recent NAM run is in the black and has it getting up to actually around 64 degrees right there. Would you look at that? And GFS is a little bit warmer here. Interesting, but I think 46 is pretty reasonable. Most models have it getting right around there. So we're going to stick with 46 for now. Precipitation, zeros across the board. That also seems pretty reasonable. And looking at 18Z wind plots, we can see our max boundary layer wind gets up to around 24 miles an hour, or 24 knots, which is right around what we were expecting. 60% of 24 knots is around 14.4. So that seems pretty reasonable. Our 13 knot forecasted wind speed here. May actually bump that up to 14. We'll actually bump that up to 14. Looks pretty good, especially with that potential for increased instability. So that's about all we have for today. Have a good day, everybody, and we'll let you know how we do tomorrow on day 6's Weather Forecast Challenge.